Two cities, one interstate, which should you call home? Today we're comparing Acworth and Kennesaw, two northwest Atlanta suburbs separated by really just a few exits on I-75. We're putting them head to head across 8 categories: population density, downtown location, home prices, healthcare, schools, safety, and things to do. At the end, we'll tally up all of the points and crown a winner. Hey, my name's Joel. I'm a local realtor here in Metro Atlanta, and this is what I do. I make videos to help people know what it's like to live here in Metro Atlanta, and every day I help people just like you make a move in or to Georgia. Let's get into it. Let's kick things off with how crowded or not crowded these cities actually feel. Population-wise, Kennesaw clocks in around 34,000 and Acworth sits a little smaller at 23,000. But let's talk about what those numbers actually mean to you. Kennesaw feels denser, and that's not by accident. It's home to Kennesaw State University, which is going to bring in over 43,000 students. And while not all of them are going to live on campus, that population bump changes the entire vibe of the city. There are more apartment complex, more traffic during school hours, more businesses catering to some student life. So if you're thinking for a quieter, low-key suburb, Kennesaw might feel a bit too active for you, especially along the Barrett Parkway and Chastain corridors. That said, for some people, that's a pro. The city can feel alive, young, and constantly moving. You're never too far from a coffee shop, a bar, or a restaurant, and it doesn't feel like a retirement town, that's for sure. Acworth, on the other hand, is what I would call a transitional suburb. Once you get through Acworth heading north, you're basically in small town Georgia. It feels more laid back, more spacious, and more residential. While you still have neighborhoods and shopping, it's much more spread out, giving you that room to breathe atmosphere a lot of people are really looking for these days. Acworth also borders Lake Altoona, so a lot of neighborhoods are designed around the natural space instead of packing in as many homes as possible. So less density, more elbow room, and slower pace without sacrificing home quality. Points gonna go to Acworth. All right, let's talk about the heart of each city, the downtown. This is where you get to feel the personality of a place, and Acworth and Kennesaw are pretty different in this category. Downtown Acworth is small, but it's charming and walkable. It's got that Hallmark movie energy, brick sidewalks, string lights, boutique shops, and restaurants where you can actually get a table on a Friday night. It sits right between Logan Farm Park and Caldwell Park on Lake Altoona, so it all connects into this really nice, very pedestrian-friendly area. You can grab brunch, take a walk in the park, maybe hit the lake, all without having to move your car. There's restaurants like Henry's Louisiana Grill, 1885, Red Top Brew House that are going to be great spots to hit along the way. Kennesaw's downtown is, well, it's trying. It's basically one street. There are a couple of decent restaurants, a coffee shop, and there's a newer gathering space as well. The city has invested in these small upgrades. There's that little plaza that hosts events like outdoor movies and concerts, but overall, it just doesn't have the same pull or energy as Acworth's downtown. And here's the kicker. Most locals are gonna leave Kennesaw when they want a night out. You're gonna head to Marietta Square, or maybe up to Acworth, or certainly over to Woodstock, and that's gonna tell you a lot. If downtown life matters to you, even for just the occasional dinner out or weekend stroll, this one's not very close. Point goes to Acworth. Let's talk geography, because even though Acworth and Kennesaw are neighbors and right next door to each other, where they sit on the map is going to make a pretty big difference in your daily life. Kennesaw is about 30 minutes northwest of Atlanta on a good day and sits a little closer to all of the action in the metro. You've got direct access to I-75, Cobb Parkway, which is Highway 41 if you don't know, and you're just minutes from Barrett Parkway, one of the busiest commercial corridors in Cobb County. Need a Target, Costco, Chick-fil-A, there's grocery stores, and a movie theater, all of it right there. This is also where Town Center Mall is, and yes, we still have a mall, and Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park is just a short drive away, so shopping, commuting, outdoor time are all super convenient. Acworth is just a little further north, another 5 to 10 minutes up I-75, but that short distance starts to shift how everything feels. You're further from Atlanta, which may be a plus or a minus depending on what you're looking for. You still have access to some major highways, and the drive to downtown Atlanta or the airport is simple, it's just not going to be short. You also find fewer traffic headaches and a little less urban sprawl. But here's the real difference. If you're commuting to Atlanta daily, that extra 10 to 20 minutes can feel like a lot. If you're working remote or staying more local, Acworth's slightly removed location could be a major win here. This one really comes down to priorities, but for overall accessibility and proximity to everything, Kennesaw's gonna get the nod. Point to Kennesaw. All right, let's dig into the numbers because this one's actually pretty interesting. Looking at the rolling 12-month averages from FMLS, Kennesaw's median home price sits at about $420,000, while Acworth is just behind it at $415,000. On a long-term view, that tracks with what we would expect. Kennesaw is just a little closer to Atlanta, more developed, and historically has carried a slight premium for it, if only very, very slight in this case. But here's where it gets interesting. If you zoom in to the most recent monthly numbers from September 2025, Acworth actually came in higher, about $421,000 compared to Kennesaw's only $400,000. And that's not a one-off fluke either. Over the past year, Acworth has had a number of months with higher prices, while Kennesaw has had bigger swings up and down. What that tells me is this: Kennesaw tends to be a little bit more volatile, probably because of its mix of buyers, students, investors, and families all competing in the same pool. Acworth is steadier, with demand driven more by families and people looking for that suburban lifestyle. At the end of the day, the takeaway is simple. Price isn't going to decide this one for you. On average, they're basically the same. The real question is whether you want Kennesaw's convenience or Acworth's smallish town vibe. We need to call this one a tie, half point each. Let's take a quick pause and say, if you're thinking about making a move to either one of these cities, there's a menu of ways to take the next step. You can reach out to me directly at the contact info on the screen, or you can fill out our Connect form and we'll reach out to you at a time that is most convenient. Or you can grab our free relocation guide if you're still in the early research phase. And of course, if you're not ready for any of that, just keep watching the video. We got a lot more information to cover. So, access to good healthcare isn't the most exciting reason to pick a city, but it matters a lot when you need it. So, how do Acworth and Kennesaw stack up here? Kennesaw has the edge when it comes to proximity and variety. It sits closer to Wellstar Kennestone Hospital in Marietta, which is one of the largest and most advanced hospitals in the region. It's a level 2 trauma center, has over 600 beds, and offers everything from emergency care to specialty surgery. If you want to be close to a major hospital, this one's hard to beat. You're looking at a 15-minute drive, traffic permitting, I would say. Beyond that, Kennesaw is surrounded by a cluster of urgent care centers, specialists, pediatricians, and primary care offices, many of which are located right along Cobb Parkway and Barrett Parkway. It's a very well-established medical corridor. Acworth, while it's not too far from the same resources that I was just talking about, doesn't have quite as much healthcare infrastructure within its city limits. Most residents are gonna head down into Kennesaw or Marietta for any serious care. Now, it's not a huge deal if you're healthy and just need the occasional checkup, but if healthcare convenience is a top priority, it's going to feel like a gap here. There are still some local options, smaller clinics, dentists, urgent care, but for the full range of services, you're going to be heading south. For sheer accessibility to major medical resources and specialists, point goes to Kennesaw. When it comes to schools, both Kennesaw and Acworth land in that middle tier. Solid, respectable options, but not necessarily elite for Metro Atlanta. In Kennesaw, most homes are zoned for schools like Kennesaw Mountain High, North Cobb, Hillgrove, or Kell, depending on your address. These schools are going to consistently pull decent marks from sites like greatschools.org and niche.com, usually scoring in the 6 to 10 range out of 10 or an A to A- range on niche.com. None are going to top the overall metro ranking, so if you're hunting for those top 10 in the state school ratings, this might not be your district. That being said, there's a ton of value here. Acworth is a little trickier. Depending on where you land, you could be zoned for 4 different county school systems. There's Cobb, Cherokee, Paulding, and Bartow. And the school ratings that they get vary significantly across them. Your best bets are neighborhoods feeding into Allatoona High School, North Cobb, which are in Cobb County, or Etowah High School, which is in Cherokee County. These are among the stronger options, but again, zoning matters here more than usual. If you're moving with kids, double check your address before you buy. For overall consistency, access to multiple well-rated schools, and the benefit of being in a single well-established district, points gonna go to Kennesaw. Safety-wise, both cities fall into the middle of the pack. You're not in danger zones by any stretch, but neither place is going to be topping the safest suburbs list either. According to Neighborhood Scout, the chance of becoming a victim of either violent or property crime in Kennesaw is 1 in 87, and also notes that compared to other communities of similar population size, Kennesaw has a crime rate that is noticeably lower than the average, which is great news. Most, if any, incidents are property related, things like car break-ins or theft, especially around shopping centers or near KSU. Now, let's take a look at Acworth. Neighborhood Scout says the chance of becoming a victim of either violent or property crime in Acworth is 1 in 77, which is pretty similar, maybe just a bit more likely. When they compare Acworth to other similarly sized communities, they, quote, found that the crime rate was near the average. If you want to get really specific, they have great heat maps that can point you in the right direction. And as you might guess, the more residential areas tend to have much lower crime rates. Bottom line, neither city has dangerous crime stats, and I think it would be splitting hairs to pick one in this category, so we're going with a tie, half point each. When it comes to entertainment, dining, parks, and recreation, both Acworth and Kennesaw have a lot to offer, but in very different ways. Kennesaw is the busier of the two. You've got Kennesaw State University, which brings in events, performances, and college sports, obviously. There's Kennesaw Mountain National Battlefield Park, which is one of the best hiking spots in the metro. It's full of history, overlooks, and miles of trails. Then you've got Town Center Mall and all the shopping, dining, chaos that comes with that. Whether it's chain restaurants, bowling, escape rooms, or just some good old-fashioned AMC movie theaters, Kennesaw is going to have plenty of options. Acworth, on the other hand, leans heavy into the outdoors. The city borders Lake Allatoona, so if you like boating, kayaking, hiking, or just sitting on the dock with a drink, this is your place. You've got Cobble Park, Red Top Mountain, walking trails that weave through the city, and a historic downtown that doesn't try too hard but always delivers. It's also known for events, things like Taste of Acworth, outdoor concerts, and the seasonal festivals, farmers markets, things like that. So what kind of things to do are you after? If you want outdoor adventure, small town charm, and that lake life, Acworth wins. If you want retail, restaurants, and entertainment variety, Kennesaw wins. But for balance, variety, and sheer volume of options, points going to Kennesaw. And the winner is Kennesaw, 5 points to 3. Now, here's how I would break it down. If you want more charm, more space, better lake access, and you like the feel of a more small town downtown, Acworth is gonna be your move. If you want to be closer to the action, prefer more shopping, schools, and quicker access to major highways and hospitals, then Kennesaw is gonna feel more convenient day to day. At the end of the day, it's all gonna come down to what kind of lifestyle that you're looking for. If you've got more questions or want help figuring out your next move, I would love to hear from you. You can reach out to me at the contact info at the bottom of the screen right now. You can take 30 seconds to fill out our Connect form, and we'll be happy to reach out to you at a time that's best for you. Or if you'd rather just keep things more low-key and on your own time, I've put together a free relocation guide, and you can download and check that out whenever it's most convenient. Or if you're just in research mode, stick around, watch some more videos. I'll see you in the next one.